Social media is the lifeblood of our daily lives. We're emotionally triggered 24/7 by posts and memes we see on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. But social media lacks context, which is why I'm here. My name is Christal Jordan, and it's time for a social conversation with clarity. Let's get crystal clear. Hello and welcome to another episode of Let's Get Crystal Clear. I'm your host, Christal Jordan, and today we are talking about two social media myths. The first one is the boss chick. We all see pictures of successful women doing amazing in business, and it looks like they just went from humble beginnings and poof, overnight they got their hair done, added some bundles, some contour, and now they are successful, making multi-millions of dollars. Well, there's a process that we miss out on. And so I have one of the founding members of OWN TV's hit series, the Belle Collective, Latrice Rogers, joining me today. Now, Latrice is the epitome of that boss chick. She has a beauty business called Goddess Lens that is doing millions. She was even featured in Forbes magazine. But there's a lot more that goes into being that boss chick than taking pretty pictures on Instagram and talking about your money. We're going to get crystal clear with Latrice about that. And she's also in a May-December relationship. So many people on social media talked about the fact that Latrice had to have married this man to start her business. So we're going to get to the bottom of it and ask Latrice, did it really pay off getting with the man that had the money? What does that look like? Were there things that she needed to go through? Was it as simple as grabbing the man and riding all the way to the bank? Or was there a lot more to that? Stay right there. We're coming back with Latrice Rogers, and we're going to get crystal clear about May-December relationships and, of course, the ultimate famous boss chick. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Let's Get Crystal Clear. I am excited about my guest today because she is one of the beautiful Belles.
Oh, thank you.
From Belle Collective. And as I said, we like to take social media conversations and add a little bit of context, right?
Okay.
And so I feel like, number one, I loved everything that you stood for on Belle Collective because it was all about business and relationships, right? Which is a lot, a lot that we talk about here. But I think that social media has the wrong, conception of who you are and what you do, because you actually were a really avid businesswoman much longer than you've been a wife, right? So you were doing business. Everybody assumes that you married this guy that was very established, right? And that he was the one that actually gave you the startup money and he got you started with business.
Yes.
So people see Latrice and she looks amazing and they think, oh, okay, she married a man with some coins. And is that what they think? That's what the streets are saying.
That's what the streets are saying? Okay.
So let's get behind that. Let's
break correct the streets, honey.
Let's break that down. Let's start with business, right? Before Belle Collective, before Cliff, Latrice was doing business. Latrice was in a Target shopping plaza.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Yes. Well, let me start with this. I was actually, when I say my husband was with me the entire time, we wasn't married, but we were together.
Okay.
So most people have to be motivated some type of way. Like, okay, well, my motivation was my family, of course, and my husband my boyfriend at that time wanting a woman that was established.
Okay.
So he was seeking the women that were doctors and lawyers, and here I am. And, I'm in college, graduating from college, and then I'm working at Office Depot. So he's literally like, and I don't talk about this, but it is what it is. Like, he was taking me through it, and I'm like, I can't compete with these women because they're like, in their 40s, like, you're supposed to be a doctor. I'm in my early 20s, like, literally just graduated. So that was the thing that really motivated me. My family, of course, and my husband wanting better. So I knew I had to be better.
Right.
And it's crazy, but, I don't tell anybody to get motivated from a man. Be motivated for yourself. Right. But that's the thing that helped me.
Right.
But you know, of course, I started off definitely humble beginnings. Like, grew up a small town girl from Canton, Mississippi. I know a lot of you guys probably don't know what that is, but, you know, Google it, honey. It's on the map somewhere. So, you know, graduated from high school or whatever. I was always like an introvert. And, you know, watching TVs, looking at these fairy tales, like, oh my God, you know, I want my life to be this way. Because I didn't see a lot of people around me that were, you know, doctors, lawyers, because that's what people tell you you're supposed to be.
Right.
I didn't have anybody to look up to. You know, I had brothers that were in the streets. My father died from drugs, you know, so it was like, where do I go from here?
Right.
You know, I have my brothers raising me and they're dying in the streets. So, you know, I have nieces and nephews coming up and I know I don't want that life for them because, you know, if they see me, whatever I do, they're going to follow me.
Right, right.
So I was the first generational grad. I graduated from Jackson State University. I love. But back to my story, honey. So graduated from Jackson State University. I wanted to become a doctor. Okay. You know, they tell you doctors, lawyers.
Right, that's what makes money.
That's what makes.
Cliff was a doctor, Claire was a lawyer. You got one of those two things, that's going to put you in middle class America.
Yeah, and the reality is very few people that go to school that are going to be doctors and lawyers. Like, very few. I think I may know like one person that graduated out of hundreds of people. Right. You know, people sell you this dream and tell you to go collect all this debt, and that's just not what it is.
That part.
You know, I could sell t-shirts and make more money than a doctor.
And there's a lot that goes into being a doctor as well. The insurance is not just you're going to get out and all of a sudden be this multimillionaire. Not the case at all.
Girl, it did not work that way for me, honey, as to why I was working at Office Depot making $8 an hour with a degree.
Right.
So, you know, I'm sitting here and I'm a numbers person. Like, I'm behind the scenes talking to the manager and they're showing me like numbers of what the store should make, what the store is making. And I'm like, damn, you know, they making all this and I'm only making, you know, $50 a day. So it wasn't for me. I saved up enough money to, you know, purchase hair. I was always fascinated with beauty, you know, because I couldn't afford it. So, you know, still just always fascinated with it. So I purchased my first batch of hair. Okay. And keep in mind, I'm an introvert, so I'm super shy. Like, you know, I'm really not on social media. Like, I don't want to put my face out there because I'm still this insecure little girl. Like, for whatever reason, that insecurity, you know, because I didn't have when I was growing up. Like, I didn't have the clothes. Yeah. You know, I didn't have the, like, you know, cell phones. Like, I didn't have any of that. So I was always insecure because, you know, people looked at me and they was like, you know, she's nothing. Right. You know,
and people assume that because of what you have. Our culture especially, I think even more than others often does. But, you know, what fascinated me about your story, and I had the opportunity to meet you and, you know, spend some time with you last year, is that we don't often we talk about the success and, you know, Latrice is in Forbes and all these different, you know, you're doing your thing now. But I think what really helps people is when they know the real story, that you don't always, you know, it doesn't go overnight for you struggling and then, you know, looking pretty and making money.
I wish. I wish.
So let's talk about how did that girl that was shy and was insecure, how did she push through? What was she able to do to kind of tap into to push through? Because in addition to all that, having your own insecurities, you also had a family like myself. My brother, you know, went to jail. My father died from a drug overdose. So I have that I'm pulling with me, and that also makes you insecure. Or at least it did for me.
Yes, it definitely did. Like with my father, you know, of course, which is why I seek out older men, because I didn't have that father figure. I didn't have a father telling me I'm beautiful or holding the door, you know, telling me this is how a woman should be treated. So, you know, most little girls don't know that. Yeah, yeah. But I would say what pushed me through is, you know, hitting rock bottom, not wanting to go back. You know, like having like you said, you know, you pulling all this weight on your back, and it's like I have nowhere to go but up because my family have nobody else to depend on. You know, it's like, oh, she went to college. They don't know college. You know, college ain't shit. But they
prove that you can finish something.
Yeah, it proves that you can finish. That is it, honey. But for me, you know, once I got my little first $300 or whatever, and I got my first batch of hair, so I was still kind of shy. So I gave it to some girls that was, you know, kind of some beautiful girls that was kind of popping in the city or whatever, and they started pushing it because, you know, everybody love free shit.
Absolutely.
You know, I didn't have the money to pay them. They was like, girl, just give me hair, and it is what it is. So they pushed it, and I was still not the face I wasn't the face of my business. Like, I was behind the scenes, and I love actually being behind the scenes because that's where you make the money at.
There you go. There you go. That's another thing. I think people assume that in order to make a lot of money, they got to be out, they got to be this big face, but really,
no.
The people that are actually making the money are often pulling the strings behind us, behind the scenes.
Yes.
And that also proved that you weren't driven by ego. I think ego is a big thing now. Everybody wants all the credit. I want to be the face. I want to be this. But you actually had the foresight to say, "Oh, she can do that. Go ahead."
Yeah, girl, go ahead. Go ahead, honey. I'm going to sit down and write notes on what I need to critique and what I need to perfect, and we're going to get these going. But after that, I had a great fucking product. The product speaks for itself. So I would literally like be in Target's parking lot, and I would have like a line of people just lined up, like trying to purchase hair. So I'm like at McDonald's, serving bundles out the window. And the security guard, at that time, he came up to me and he was like, it was a whole distraction, and he was asking me what I was doing. And I was telling him, and he just was like, you're so amazing. Like, this is amazing. You need to do more with it. And it's crazy that a security guard can, lead you into something, even greater. But I think it was God at that moment that sent him my way.
Yeah.
So with that, I went into my first brick and mortar, and I was still afraid. So I found something that was like $300. It was in the hood.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. So, I want to go further, and HBCUs have like these campus cards. And with the campus cards, certain vendors purchase from, off the campus card.
Right.
So I was like the first vendor to ever do like the virgin hair.
Wow.
And it was, girl, now that was hard because, it was of course a lady at Jackson State that didn't like me. So she kept turning me down every step of the way. And I was like, I can't give up because I know this is a gold mine right here, honey. And when I finally got that, those cards, girl, when I say I was making probably like, that's when I was making maybe like $10,000 a week, and that was huge for me because I'm really not making
$8 a day before, $8 an hour before, $50 a day.
Yes, and now I'm making like $10,000 a week, and I'm like, okay, and it grew and it grew and it grew. So from there, of course, the demand was so high. So I ended up coming up with like the vending machines and dispensing hair with the vending machines. That was amazing.
Yeah.
So even with hair, like I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. So I went out and I started doing real estate.
Yeah.
I started buying houses. I had a lot of money on hand. So let me buy houses. And it kind of just trickled from there and started from there. So
yeah.
I mean, I love it.
Well, I love it. I love the fact that there's a strategy to what you're doing, right? Because I think, again, when we see pictures, you see reels, you don't really get to see, okay, Latrice actually there's a strategy behind what she's doing. And so let's go back to the campus card, because I think that's ingenious for you to come from Jackson State and know this is young people drive culture. They drive trends. If I can get them buying the hair, I'm good.
For sure.
So how were you able to, first of all, how did you figure that piece out? And then when you kept getting the no's, what did you do differently to kind of go back around and find that yes?
So, of course, I went to Jackson State. And one thing about college students, we're all broke. So when I went to Jackson State, the only way that we survived was off those campus cards. There was food, hair, nails, whatever.
Really?
Yes. Like, girl, we was on campus. We didn't have 2 pennies, like literally.
But it's like a credit card.
Yeah, it's like a credit card.
That you can get stuff on campus. Okay.
Yes, and only the vendors that are approved by the school can you can buy from.
Okay.
Yeah, so I already knew, that's a win-win.
Right.
I was in this situation. I knew what I wanted.
Yeah.
So what I did was basically did a whole bunch of surveys, and I went around the school. And I made the kids, do the surveys, and I asked them, hey, would you like to purchase hair from your SuperCard?
Okay.
And, of course, all the females, we love hair. We're like, yes, yes, yes. So I actually went over her head, and I went to the president of Jackson State. And it was helpful. He was a man, so you know how that go. He was like, and I presented him, I did a whole presentation like, hey, this is why I deserve to be, a vendor for Jackson State University. Plus I'm an alumni. And I kid you not, within like 2 days, I had an approval letter. So.
Wow. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
And I had to do what I had to do. I was like, girl, you are not going to stop me, honey.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just, but that's the beautiful thing about knowing that a no is not, it doesn't mean no, it's just not right now. And I got to figure out how to get that yes. So I want to ask you this because, like we talked about your family, there was issues going on with your family. And that's something that you've also shared on the show. So a lot of times when people are able to come from that and, make it to a point where they're successful, they're making a lot of money, the issues that your family are dealing with are still there. You know what I mean? And so you still are struggling with that, and that can be an emotional pull. And sometimes people even feel guilty because they are out of it and their family is still there. How were you able to kind of deal with your own success and being happy for that, but also still trying to help, your brothers and losing one of your brothers, right? Or was it two of your brothers? That's heartbreaking, and that's not something that money can fix.
No.
So how have you been able to kind of balance that and find peace within, for your family, in addition to the fact that you're in a different space now?
I think with my family, anybody that's not my immediate family, that's mom, sisters, brothers, nieces, and nephews, I have to completely separate that and cut them off. Because one thing about a family would drain you dry. Like my family, half of them don't even have my number. And that's just real.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I still remember how certain family members treated me. Like even my grandma at times, like she was, real biased when it came to her grandkids. And she didn't accept my mom kids. Like it was, she treated us real bad. But it was easier for me because I can easily cut them off. Now, when it comes to my actual mom, siblings, I think that they're so independent and they know the ultimate goal. They know that she's here, she has it. If I really need it, then... And to me, that's love.
Yeah.
It's not like my family's trying to take every dime from me. Like, they don't do that. My mom, she's going to work hard. She's going to work for what she has. Like, I bought my mom a car. That's the only thing she wanted from me. I offered to even do her a house. She was like, no. I bought my house. I want to remain in my house. It is what it is. Yeah. And I can't do nothing but respect it. Yeah. My sister, I actually purchased her a house. But... one thing they know, listen, you get one thing from me, outside of that, honey, it's cutthroat. It's nothing else. But for the most part, they're not needy.
That's a blessing, because that's not a lot of people's story. How did you come up with the idea, like, I'm going to do one thing and make sure that you're at least in a good space? Transportation and a place to live is ideal for everybody.
Yes, for sure.
So how did you get to the point where you were like, okay, this is what I'm comfortable doing, and these are the boundaries I have to set?
Where was my comfort level? Ooh.
And did you struggle with that initially? Because usually when people make a lot of money, it's like, I want to help everybody. And then you have to learn, if I help everybody.
And see, that's the thing. I actually had my husband in my corner, and he was, because I'm a giving person. Like, I'll give you the shirt off my back. So he's successful, and he molded me. Hey, it's certain things you can't do. Yeah. Like, people will take from you so they can't take no more. Nice. Whether there's, PRs or managers, if people see you have it, they want
coming to get it.
Yeah. And honey, I had to learn that hands down. People, baby, they will go to the end of the earth to get what you have. They'll sell you all type of dreams, and it was a lot of bout lessons I had to, figure out for myself. When my husband was in my corner, he was telling me, hey baby, this, I've been there, I've done that, I'm older, listen to me, even when it comes to your family life, this is what it is, this is what you can't do. Yeah. So he was kind of like my, I guess I would say my angel that kept me like on the straight and narrow when it comes to financing and how to distribute it. So, I guess with my family, I want to see them good, and I felt like, my sister, she needed a house. After that, we done. My mom need a car. After that, it is what it is. And they know that there was a lot, so it's nothing else that you can ask me for. Yeah. Now, if I give it to you, then that's perfectly fine, but don't ask me, and they don't.
Yeah. Well, that is love, when they love you for yourself, for you, and they're not trying to do, and they're proud of you when they can accept that and not feel like it is owed to them. Yeah. Because that is not the case.
Ooh, girl, look at me the ones that you not related to that feel like you owe them the world. I'm like, girl, I don't owe you shit.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a whole nother thing, girl. People don't stop talking to me behind, just me telling them no. And I had to get through, because, I want everybody to love me. Like, I'm such a people's pleaser. But, and you know, I started off saying yes to everybody. But then when my husband got into my head, then it was like, no. It was easier for me to say no.
Yeah.
And once them no's came, then that's when they faded away.
You start seeing the real.
Yeah.
Oh, so you wasn't really cool.
Yeah. I was like, wait, you mad at me because I couldn't give you $500? Like, you know, for one, you got a man. I firmly believe you got a man, honey. Don't ask me for nothing.
I am not mad at that. I think that's a lesson that people have to learn. I think, like I said, that's one of the things that people don't talk about. It's like people want to be successful, but with success comes a lot of responsibility. And sometimes that can get lonely if you think people are your friends, and then later you realize they really are just here and then you add the TV element to it.
Oh, God.
So how did that change things? Because not only are you doing well financially and people see that, but then television brings fame, and that attracts a whole different type of monster.
Oh, my God. It's everybody wanting to leech on you. Everybody wants to come up under your umbrella and just ride your coattails. So me just still being super friendly, like, because like as a child, when I grew up, people didn't treat me the nicest. So I feel like I have to treat everybody nice.
Yeah.
I treat people the way that I want to be treated. And sometimes that do come with, people leeching off you, riding your coattail. And you just have, like with me, it's still a learning phase.
Yeah.
Like it's still a learning phase because people are so sneaky and so sly, especially in this industry. Like you think they mean you good, but then in the end, it's like, bitch, you.
That part.
Yeah. It's like, bitch, really?
Yeah.
So I'm still actually learning that. Right now, I have like a small circle where I have like 3 people that I really just trust, and anybody else is just associates. So if you wasn't with me like in the beginning, then right now
it's not the time to come on board.
It's not the time.
Yeah. That's the conversation that I felt like I wanted to get crystal clear about this morning, because it's great to be a boss chick and it's great, but it just has a lot more involved with it that comes with it that people don't talk about. You may lose friends. You may realize some of your friends aren't real friends. You have to go through the family dynamic and all of that. Now, I love the fact that you talked about your husband, Cliff, because that's the second part. We're going to come back for break, and we're going to talk about this relationship, because you all have a relationship that a lot of people see as relationship goals because of the age. Well, yeah, of course. You're on the show. He's nice looking,
He is fine, girl.
got you a good looking one. Yeah. They got some coins to him as well. But I'm sure
always a plus.
It absolutely, but it's more to it than just that. So we talked about the boss chick. We talked about the business. We're going to come back and talk about love and how does the relationship and success and all that play into being in a marriage. All right. We're going to come right back. More Let's Get Crystal Clear with the very beautiful Latrice Rogers. You guys stay right there. All right, this is Let's Get Crystal Clear. And before break, we got clear about the whole boss chick definition and the fact that there's so much more that goes into actually being a successful, savvy businesswoman than what we see on social media, right?
Yes.
And so we're back with the Belle of all the Bells on Belle Collective.
The Belle,
Latrice Rogers. And part of your storyline, I think it was equally separate, right? So there was the business side, and we got to see Goddess Lens, which are giving what they're supposed to give today. But then we also see you and your relationship, and you're married, and your husband is how many years older is your husband than you?
20.
He's 20 years older than you. And so we were introduced to the two of you guys, and we see this great dynamic, and it's what a lot of people want, a lot of women especially want to have. So with an older established man, you mentioned that was something that you think you were attracted to because growing up without your father around. What is a part of the dynamic of being with an older man that you did not realize before you and Cliff got together? Like, what has been the biggest surprise of being with someone that is that much older, that much more experienced, that you did not know before you guys started dating?
Ooh, I think with me and my husband, the lines get blurred a lot because he actually feels like he's my father in a sense. Like, this is a father that I sleep with. You know, and I think that's where we butt heads at a lot.
Yeah.
And, you know, an older man is also, you know, because I'm a younger woman and then I'm successful at that. So a lot of men can't take that. Like, you got an average man that couldn't take that.
Yeah.
So imagine adding a 20-year age difference.
And then you look like that.
Yes, in between.
Yeah.
So it is hard. Like, my husband loved me to death. And if he could be my shadow, he would be my shadow. He's like, I got to keep tabs on her. So, you know, with a lot of older guys, you know, they're more insecure. They're more, you know, of the authority figure because they feel like they know everything. Like, I can't tell my husband a thing. He knows it. You know, he's like, God, honey.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
God, Cliff.
Yeah. It's God in him. Like, you know, so we try to work through that. It's difficult at times. I'm not gonna lie. Like, no marriage is perfect, and I won't sit here and pretend. Like, you know, I'm not like some people that you see on social media and, you know, they have the picture perfect relationship or marriage. You know, they're getting gifted cars and, you know, going on trips, and then behind closed doors, it's a whole different story. Right. You're fucking miserable.
Exactly.
You know, I'm transparent about mine because I know that my story can relate to somebody just like somebody else's story can relate to me. I'm not about all that fake shit. It is what it is with my husband.
Right.
We're married. We go through hella issues, honey. I want to kill that man every single day, but I love him.
Not every single day.
Girl, every day. Look, you married. How many times?
At least every other day, or at least a couple times a week. It's like, oh my God. But I think, you know, my husband and I are a few years apart, and that's a little different because it's not, he may think he knows. He still thinks he knows more than I do. And it's okay. I think that's just a man thing.
Yeah, of course.
But it's not to that extent. But I always wonder, like, when you do get with someone that's younger, when you're in your 20s, you are a very different woman than you are when you get to your 30s.
Yes.
So how have you been able to get him to see that you are more mature? You're more who you are. In your 20s, you're still kind of a kid. You know what I mean? So you become more of Latrice, and then how does that work with him seeing you differently, or has he been able to see the maturity and the growth since you guys have been together?
Yeah, he definitely sees the maturity and the growth. Like in my 20s, I was growing. In my 30s, I'm building. Yeah. You know, so we build a lot together. Like, you know, like I said, we buy land, we flip houses together. So, you know, he trusts me more with his finances. Like, girl, listen, I know this guy's mind. He have to call me and ask me what size pants he wear. You know, so he know that I'm good with money and I'm resourceful at finding it. So I think that that's something that he definitely admires about me. Versus in my 20s, I'm trying to still figure it out and still trying to get to the coin. And now it was kind of like business wise, I was here, he was here. And now, you know, it fluctuates. Like sometimes I'm up here and he's here, you know. So that's another challenge we have because most men, you know, they don't like with an older guy and I'm a younger woman, you know, he sometimes, you know, it's hard to balance that equality. Yeah. Because they don't necessarily see, even, you know, just men in general don't see you as their equal because they feel like, hey, I'm the head of the household. And I let my man lead. Like, I'm going to make sure you feel like a man. But when it comes to getting these coins and this money, you know, I'm there with you. We neck and neck. So we balance and we deal with a lot in our marriage, but I still love him to death. Wouldn't trade him for the world.
Well, you guys are so cute on the show. And I think the difference in your marriage than some other people that are in those relationships where the man is a lot older and a lot more established is that he was looking for a woman. He wanted a woman that was not just an arm piece. Like, you look good, but he wanted some substance there as well. And that was a little bit different than a lot of times older men are just looking for shut up and look cute, right? So when you guys first got together and he was telling you, it sounds like he kind of helped you to stretch and think even bigger of yourself than you initially did.
He did. Yeah, because I'm real competitive in a sense, and I'm like, no, you know, and it's crazy because I'm like, no other bitch is gonna beat me out, you know. So I want my man, so let me work for my man. And I hate telling this story because I don't want any woman to feel like she has to work for, you know, towards getting a man. Right. If he doesn't want you, then that's just what it is. And I wish I would have. I'm glad I got my husband, but if I was thinking now, you know, how Basically,
Yeah.
you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I think it sounded like it actually made you better anyway. So
It did.
it helped you to become a better woman.
Mm-hmm.
So if a person is challenging you to become better as a person, that's one thing, as opposed to them trying to make you jump through hoops for them. So it wasn't like you were, getting your body done and doing other stuff.
Right.
You were actually making yourself a better woman. So that's a different set of tools there. As you grow, you have different needs. Mm-hmm. You guys seem to be growing together. How have you managed to keep the relationship to where you're still growing together, even though, like I said, you got a lot of changes between 20s and 30s as a woman? So how do you make the decision to grow with Cliff as opposed to growing into more Latrice on her own?
I guess it's just the love that I have for him and just, wanting the same thing. Mm-hmm. Like, we're all about generational wealth.
There you go.
And that's something that I've always aspired. Like, I want, whenever I have kids, for,
mm-hmm.
Of course, my great-great-grandkids to be good. Mm-hmm. Like, nobody ever left me a legacy. I didn't even know what a trust fund was.
Yeah.
And that's something that we both want. Mm-hmm. Like that, of course, that strong generational wealth. So I think that keeps us bonded mm-hmm. and moving together,
Yeah.
So I would say just having common goals.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, you came on and became an instant stepmother to some pretty grown kids.
Girl.
How was that transition from going to being a lot younger, and then him already having children, already having like an extensive past mm-hmm. that you did not have? How were you guys able to kind of work through that?
Oh, it was definitely difficult in the beginning. You would think that boys would be easier. Mm-hmm. It was actually easier for me with the girl. He has 4 boys and 1 girl. Mm-hmm. So with the boys, it was a constant struggle because it's like, I don't see you as my mom. I don't have to respect you. Mm-hmm. It was
You're not that much older than me.
Right. You're not that. And I can't say that I blame them because, if somebody come to me, and they're 2 years older than me and, you talking about you my stepdad, I'm gonna be looking at you like, bro, get the fuck out my face. So I couldn't blame them, but it took a few years. Yeah. It took a few years and them, maturing a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Because in the end, I'm still close to your age. I look the way I look, mm-hmm. so you know how that was when it comes to boys. Yeah. Boys are still boys. So that was difficult as well, but we got through it and I love them to death. Like, we're so close now, we drink together, we we party together, mm-hmm. and it's still not that stepmom, but it's respect now.
Right. You found your own dynamic. Yes. But it's still a respectful thing. That's what's up. I think that's another thing that people don't. You got to blend a family, and that takes time.
It takes time.
And it's different.
Then you have the mom that's involved in the situation, and the mom don't like you for whatever reason, mm-hmm. whether she's still in love with the dad, and
that is often the situation.
Yeah, because 9 times out of 10 it be them damn mamas. Yeah. And I always tell people, baby mamas don't hold no rank. So
it isn't supposed to be like that. They definitely are. It is a difficult thing, especially if they used to be a wife.
Yes.
So that's rough. That is rough. I got one on either side, so I definitely see that. And then they also have a lot to do with the way the children perceive the dad. So
yes, mm-hmm. And especially if the mom is turning you against the dad, and in reality, that's what happened with my husband. Like, the mom. She was completely disrespectful to me, Mm-hmm. So of course your kids won't respect me. Right. And then you despise my husband, so of mm-hmm. course your kids listen to their mom.
They do. I learned that. I've been learning that too.
It was wait, girl, you got the step.
I've been learning that too. They are going to listen. And I think it's important that women know that if you are so bitter and filled with so much hate for your children's father, yes, you're going to pass that to your children, and it's only going to hurt them. Mm-hmm. It's not you trying to make them hate him is going to come back and actually hurt them, because you're robbing them of a relationship with their own parent. Like,
yes, and that's the thing, girl, that gets me. Like, my husband, his relationship with his sons, like, it's still strained, and I hate that because he loved me. He tries so hard, and you know, even with the grandkids. But as they get older, they're finding out like mom was, you know, it
wasn't what I thought.
Right, because now you have to come back, and you know, life. They're figuring out life is fucking hard. You know, when you young, you see it one way, you be like, okay, well, you know, I'm gonna be an NBA player, or you know, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, and when like reality kicks in, listen, they came right on back and humble themselves because dad has the business. Like if my dad had a multi-million-dollar business, I'm going to be up on the dad trying to learn everything I can on how to expand this business because I'm younger. I got more experience in like the new world. So let me see how I'm going to grow it and make it better. Like it's multi-millionaire hunting. Maybe we can get to $1 billion, you know. And, you know, I think that they're realizing like mom kind of, you know, hindered me and, you know, and I hate that because they're still building their relationship. It's still kind of strained, but they know you have no other choice because this is where the money is.
Yeah. That's crazy, but I think a lot of women deal with that, and I'm just seeing it on the other side. You know what I mean? So being married to somebody that has that situation. But I think that the good thing about it is Cliff seems to be, he knows that's still what he's going to do. He's not going to give up. He's going to continue to do that. Now, I did see on your page you have Future Mama. Future Mama, and that's one of the things that you guys talked a lot about on the show. He wants to have a baby with the two of you. Where are you at in that process right now? Because you were just like, I can't see it. And it sounded like there were even some reasons that you did not want to because of what you went through when you were growing up. So where are you at with that now?
With a baby, I'm still at fucking zero. To be honest, kids, and I have my grandbabies now, but kids are a lot of responsibilities. Like I saw what my mom went through when she lost my brothers. You know, I saw what she went through, like with my dad, you know, him just being on drugs and the things that he took her through. And I know how that affected me as a child, you know, feeling like I'm not loved or, you know, just unappreciated. Like it was just so many factors. It's so many factors that go into my head when it comes to having a baby because I don't know if I'm gonna be a good mom. You know, and then me and my husband, we both work like sun up to sundown. Am I gonna be able to nurture this baby, give the baby the attention that they need? Because one thing about kids need attention.
Yes, they do.
I didn't get that from my dad, and you know, I feel like if my dad was in my brother's lives, then it would have went a completely different way.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't want that for my child because no child is the same.
Right.
Like I turned out okay, but my child is not going to be me. It has my characteristics, but it's still not me.
Yeah.
You know, so it's scary for me in a sense. And, you know, I have an older husband. And
do you wonder? Do you worry about that? Because
I do. I do. Like my husband is, you know, in his 50s, honey, and I worry about if I do have a child, will my child be able to grow up and my husband play ball with my child? You know, all of everything. You know, I factor in.
What does he say about it? Does he? Because it doesn't seem like men really are worried about that. There are men having babies.
Girl, listen,
in their 70s.
Girl, he is not worried at all, honey. He like, I'll pay somebody to play basketball with the baby. I'm like, really? It is not that deep. But
clipping is what it is.
Girl, he is clipping, honey. He'll pay somebody to do everything. And girl, that's crazy. But he definitely wants to have a child by me. Sometimes I don't think it's for the right reason. You know how men want to
slow you down,
girl. And I am not to be slowed down, honey. I'm like a NASCAR child. Get out my way. But hopefully one day, I'm not saying that I won't ever give him a child. And, you know, it's something that we talked about, like, of course, early on when we got married. And things change, you know, like people like, girl, didn't y'all have that conversation? Of course we had the conversation. We have had every conversation under the sun. But me in my 20s is not me in my 30s. Yeah. You know, the mindset is different. So I don't want no goddamn kids right now. And that's just that.
Yeah. But you have a right to say that. Women have a right to say that. But I think you have a right to talk about it with the two of you guys. Do you think that being a stepmom has made you understand just even more so how important, you know, being able to be ready for a child would be?
Girl, yes. Like, My stepdaughter, she, of course, she stayed with us. She's in college now, thank God. But it was a lot of responsibility, and I was like, hell, she's not even an infant. I can imagine, I'm having to, talk to her about boys, just take her to different events. And she was staying with us, but she was still going to school in her mom's school district. So having to take her to school, having to discipline her.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And I don't want to discipline nobody's kids because, honey, I don't need your mama coming at me, because if she come at me, honey, she's going to get something down. But
be a whole nother issue.
Yeah, that's a whole nother issue right there. So it was a lot. And, I don't think I'm ready for those teenage kids.
Yeah. They start off cute.
Yeah.
And then they turn into teenagers.
Yeah, I just want to give them back. I want to just give them back to the mamas.
Well, let's talk about this show, because we mentioned, I talked about it earlier, it highlighted your business, right? But it also highlights the marriages. A big part of Belle Collective is you see these women in business, but you also see these women dealing with relationships. And your relationship has not been one of the ones that is highlighted in a negative way. You guys are holding. But what has being on TV done to you guys' relationship? Has it made anything change? Is it difficult in some ways to hear people giving feedback about stuff that really is none of their business?
Oh my God. So the thing about social media, it doesn't affect my husband because, girl, he doesn't know anything about social media.
Cliff is not on social media.
He is not on social media.
Nobody's sliding his DMs like with some.
You know what? He has social media pages, but the thing is, I monitor them because, girl, he don't know no better. It's like my child. But he do have women sliding in his DMs, which is a thing. And
they're sliding in and talking to you, and they think they're talking to Cliff. What are they saying?
Girl,
I'm just like, what are they saying to your husband?
Girl, they just, they'll call him handsome, or they'll, be slick or ask him about the show, or, just any general, like, it is just general stuff. You know how how females is when they want to slide in. They're going to start off kind of soft and subtle. He got one DM where a lady was, showing her body parts or whatever. Like, some of them are real blunt and direct, but then some of them are like, I'm going to try to ease in, whatever. But
that's crazy. I mean, it's happening with, I'm sure, my husband's DMs. But people are like, you shouldn't post on social. And I'm like, if that can mess your marriage up, to me.
It wasn't a marriage.
Yeah, it wasn't a marriage. So
and one thing about it, my husband, nobody can walk in my shoes. I'm not concerned about any female. Like, if that's what you want, then that's what you get.
Yeah.
You know what comes with me. you know how I get down. I'm 10 toes down in whatever I do. Nigga, I make you better. So you leaving me, yeah. That's deep. That's deep if you leave me, honey. I need to be with her too.
We both need to go. If she does,
if she made you leave, we both need to be with her, because that's that bitch right there.
So what has been the changes, or have there been any, with just having even with your family, with you guys being on television, sharing some of your, the issues that you guys are dealing with, even talking about having a baby and all that in a public forum, has that had any effect on your relationship?
I would say that it has not. Like, one thing about our marriage is our marriage, and we do this thing where, I don't care what Black Twitter put out there, because people are so opinionated. Like, you can do one thing and they'll flip that times 10 and make it into something. You be like, what? How did they get that out of that?
Right.
And they really think they know you, but we know each other and we know what it is. So, he doesn't let that affect him. Now, actual filming is difficult for us, because it's certain things, like, you do want to keep certain things private.
Right.
And the producers, they're so messy, like, they would tear marriage down. So I can see why people do get divorced, on reality TV, because they're not there to build a Black family. They're there to tear it down and get ratings, and,
exactly.
And get money. So, we're figuring that out, and we're like, okay, we're not standing for this. Like, we're stronger than this. Like, our love is stronger than this. If it comes to reality TV or my marriage, at the end of the day, I'm choosing my marriage.
There you go.
So it's a work in progress now. We working through it, but I think season 3, you'll see a completely different dynamic, as far as like me and him and our relationship, and just, all the girls in general.
Yeah.
Like,
that's good. I think that a lot of people felt like it's hard to see, and again, you guys weren't in some of those relationships that were troublesome on the show, but I think people hate seeing it, but yet they say they hate seeing it, but yet they tune in for it.
Girl, that's how you get the ratings.
That's how
because if everything was all positive and my husband was bringing me roses every day and telling me he loved me, girl, nobody would tune in.
They tuning in to see that fool.
Yeah, you want to see somebody cheat, who he cheat with, the baby mama, bring the baby mama on the show. So
yeah.
I don't like drama. I'm a Libra to the heart, honey, and I don't like confrontations. Like, I just like getting money and pleasing my man.
I love that. So I just want to sit pretty and get money. Yeah, look pretty and get money.
That is it. Can I do that, honey, and still be on reality TV?
Well, you're doing it. You're doing it. We can't wait to see season 3. Thank you so much for hanging out and adding a little context to the May-December relationship, and also additional context to being a woman in business and all that it takes to go into that. So we wish you continued success.
Yes, thank
definitely
you.
have to have you come back, and we would definitely love to talk more about. We got to get into Goddess List and figure out how we can do some stuff to promote you guys. Yes.
Let's do it.
Well, thank you so much. This has been Let's Get Crystal Clear. We've gotten crystal clear with Latrice Rogers about Zaddy, business, and so much more. Stay right there. We'll be back with more Let's Get Crystal Clear.
Yay.
All right. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that conversation with Latrice as much as I did. One of the things that I love about her is her transparency and her willing to be honest, even about things that don't necessarily look great on social media, but it's just real life. She's definitely doing her thing when it comes to business. But as you see, Latrice is a very different woman in her 20s than she is now in her 30s. And so I hope that she and Cliff will be able to continue to grow together and not apart. But one of the things that makes me feel like this marriage is going to be great is the fact that Latrice was very clear if it comes to a choice between social media and her marriage, or being on television and her marriage. She's always going to he's always going to select her marriage. Let me do that over again. Oh, just start right there. One thing is clear, Latrice is definitely in this for the right reasons. She's very clear that if she has a choice to make between being on TV or being popping on social media and her marriage, she's always going to choose her marriage. And so that is a great way to go into it, and I think that they'll be able to last the test of time with that. I hope you've enjoyed our conversation, getting crystal clear on a couple of things. The Boss Chick, the May-December relationship. We'll be right back next week with more Let's Get Crystal Clear. I'll see you then.